Hi, everyone, and welcome to today's lesson of Minute Math using the cubes method. So what is the cubes method? Let's just dive right in. Cubes method is a math problem solving strategy. So if you take a look at the reference sheet right here, I'm going to give a demo of a word problem using the cubes method. So before we get started, we have our reference sheet. We have a calculator. I have it right at the bottom of my screen. I pop it on when I need it. I'm going to use a whiteboard. The equivalent for that for you is paper and pencil. Okay, so C for circling the key numbers, U for underlining the question that's being asked, B for boxing the math action words. We've talked about these words and how we look for words that we translate to create the math problem. E for eliminating extra information. Sometimes I try to throw in numbers or information that really aren't important to solving the problem, which is what S is. Solving the problem, showing your work, does it make sense? That's a key part. Is it a reasonable answer? So solve, show work, and ask yourself, is it a sensible answer? Okay, let's look at a word problem. So I'm going to do a demonstration using the cubes method. And then what I would like you to do is practice using the cubes method every time you do a word problem for any kind of math assignment, math homework, test, what have you. Parker needs to serve 36 guests at a party. He is making a punch that calls for 1 part ginger ale to 3 parts punch. If the ratio of ginger ale to punch is 1 to 3, and he is using 3 cups of ginger ale, how much punch will he need? Okay, so let's go into our Jamboard and use the tools to use the cubes method. I'm seeing the number 36. I'm seeing the number 1, the number 3. I'm noticing a ratio. So the gift of this problem is that the ratio has been written for us. We could do it ourselves, but it's already here, so that's nice. And then I see 3 cups. The question that's being asked is, how much punch will he need if he's using 3 cups of ginger ale and the ratio is 1 to 3? Okay. To box some important information, for me, what I notice is the use of the word part, because that clues me into setting up a ratio, setting up a proportion. And how much? One specifically to know how much punch, right, is going to be used. So I'm thinking the fruit punch, okay? Not this punch here. So there's ginger ale and there's fruit punch, and they're going to be mixed together, and they're going to form a big bowl of punch. What don't we need? I like the name Parker. We don't need it. And it doesn't really matter. He could have 100 guests. It's not really impacting the problem. Okay. So let's go ahead and solve our problem by using the whiteboard. Okay, I'm going to set up this problem 1 to 3. Now, in the word problem, the ratio was set up this way. That is one way that you could do it. I'm going to set it up as a fraction because I like to set up a proportion this way. Now, what's very important is that if this is ginger ale and this is the fruit punch, and together it makes up the entire punch, then you want to make sure your relationship is the same on the other side. So if you've chosen to put ginger ale on top, fruit punch on the bottom, here you want to do it here. Okay, if you don't set it up correctly, that's going to be problematic. Okay, you see I'm having some issues picking a color. Let's go with 3 blue, 3 and blue, and then this is going to be our missing. So here's what we're looking for. How much fruit punch is going to be used for the total punch bowl if we're using 3 cups of ginger ale? All right. What I know is when I cross multiply, okay, I'm going to get 3 times 3. Let's clear whatever was on there. 3 times 3. And that, I'm using my calculator. That's going to give me 9. So when I multiply x times 1, I'm also going to get 9. So I'm using my calculator here, and I'm saying 9 divided by 1. I'm sure you can do that mentally, okay? So I'm getting 9 as my answer here. Now we want to check it. There's a couple ways we can check it. Well, number one, we said if we multiply 3 times 3, we get 9. If we multiply 9 times 1, we get 9. For these to be equivalent or equal to each other, those two numbers have to be the same, always. Another thing I see, I'm noticing that if I take 1 and multiply it by 3, and I do the same down here, this is true. 1 times 3 is 3. 3 times 3 is 9. Okay, so I am going to show you one more thing that I think you can now see my calculator, I'm hoping. So on the calculator, another way we can check this is if we convert the fractions to a decimal, we need to get the same decimal. So when I take, on one side, I had 1 divided by 3. Okay, what did I get as an answer? Whoop, I used the wrong one. Clear. 1 divided by 3 is going to be 0.3 repeating. So I should get that same answer. On the other side, I had 3 divided by 9, same answer. So there's a couple tricks here and shortcuts we could use to check our work. Okay, great. So let's say goodbye to the calculator. And whoops, let's go back to our slide. All right, so before we sign off, what we want to do is take a look at the 8 standards of mathematical practice. We'll bring these up again, and the magnifying glass is sometimes when you solve a word problem, look at it through the lens of the mathematical practices. These are things that teachers all across the country are trying to teach their students how to be good mathematicians. These are basically the habits. So did you keep trying? Did you think about math, meaning were you able to take the words and translate them? Would you be able to explain how you solved the problem? What did I do? I read it. I used the cubes method. I set up a proportion. I cross multiplied. I used my calculator. I checked by taking them and converting each of those fractions to make sure I got the same decimal. I asked myself, did it make sense? Okay. Did I use math tools? Yes. The calculator. I used the whiteboard. I used the cubes method. We checked our work. We looked for shortcuts or connections. Okay, so this isn't going to be the first. Maybe you've seen this before and it won't be the last time. These are just 8 really good habits you want to develop as a mathematician, particularly when you're solving word problems. The first practice is persevere. Don't give up. Keep trying. I will see you next time on Minute Math. Have a great day, everyone.